This month, we're making plans for 2024, plotting where we want our creativity to take us and where we want to take our creativity. In the last episode, we launched our new Featured Artist initiative with painter, educator and Canvas Method co-founder Justin Ogilvie. In this instalment, we're excited to introduce our second, painter and educator Cara Bain. Cara, deeply passionate about capturing the essence of people and places, explores intricate ideas through the human form. Renowned for her inventive use of oil paint with copper patina and expressive landscapes, Cara will delve into her creative process, emphasizing exploration and experimentation with new materials, whilst providing invaluable insight on how to evolve your practice. She'll also divulge what she has in store for the Featured Artist initiative and share some goals for the coming year.
My name is Cara Bain. I started with acrylic painting and drawing and slowly migrated towards oil painting. For subject matter, my focus is really split between figurative and portrait work, and then also landscape painting. I really love both, and I always flip-flop between them. I can never choose which I like best. In my figurative work, often I will start with a concept or idea and then develop my idea through some sketching and through just thinking about it over time. So that process is a bit more linear in experimentation. With landscape painting, the experimentation is more in simplifying the landscape and doing some inventing along the way. Otherwise, you're going to be painting every leaf on every tree and a million trees in the scene. So the experimentation happens a little bit more because you're forced to invent how things look in a simplified manner a little bit to remove some of the detail. And then you can also move things around and push certain colors and that sort of thing. So yeah, I'd say in both of my practices, the experimentation happens. It's just looks very different in each. The way I continue to evolve as an artist lately has happened through teaching, because teaching keeps me painting on a very consistent basis. When you break things down and teach them to other people, then you're also able to systemize your own practice. So it becomes a lot more solidified. And those demonstrations help you to explore your own boundaries. But also in the studio, just whenever a new idea strikes me, whether it's a landscape that I really want to try, or if I'm challenged in a certain area and I need to get better at it, then that helps me develop. And also if I have a new concept, then I have to keep evolving because my ideas keep changing and I keep wanting to try new things. So that keeps pushing me forward. And luckily, when you're an artist, there's really like infinite and endless possibilities, both in skill development. You can just keep getting better and better and better. And in concepts, there's so many ideas, so many things to paint under the sun. I started seeing certain artists work with gold leaf, and I tried a few pieces, just incorporating small elements of gold leaf into my work. I really love the color of copper, and I also really love the beautiful turquoise you can get from patinas. It just makes a beautiful combination together. And then once I started trying different experiments with applying different things to the copper that I'd researched online. If you put table salt in one area, maybe you put road salt that you'd use in the winter in another area. And if you heat them up with a blowtorch, they create these beautiful patinas. So I've also experimented with creating almost like an abstract painting, just using copper plate and then painting with oils on top of that, and incorporating figurative imagery on top of the copper plate. I always feel a little bit like a mad scientist in a lab doing little experiments to find these different things that copper can do. It's pretty fun. And some of them you apply the day before and then you come back the next day and you see what happened. And so I also love that loss of total control that helps me to get effects that I wouldn't have got if I was totally in control of the process. I always think it's very important not to force yourself into what you think of as a style, but rather just explore the ideas you're interested in and put the work in, and just draw a lot, paint a lot, just spend a lot of time in the medium that you're focused on, because that will naturally produce a style. And when you follow what you're interested in, that will also naturally produce a style, because it's something that comes from you and you're different from everybody else. It's very important when you're creating a piece of art, whenever you're stepping into a new piece, to set an intention at the start of the piece. So if you're painting a landscape, your intention could be to copy the photo exactly, or your intention could be, how can I move around elements in this landscape to make a beautiful composition? Or your intention could be, how can I incorporate movement into this piece? Or your intention could be, how can I do something totally different than I've done before? How can I push color? How can I push abstraction? Asking yourself a few of those questions before you start is a really good idea. You can also follow where the painting goes or where the drawing goes, but often if you do that, you're going to just sink into the patterns of what you've done before. So if you want to push yourself, then I think it's just really important to set the intention of pushing yourself before you begin whatever new piece that you're working on. When I left high school, I spent 2 years just in studying fine arts. And then I moved into a degree of illustration and graphic design. In that program, we were always pushed to put our very best foot forward and not showing things that were subpar. After I graduated, that was a bit of a hindrance for me, because I thought I could only make art that was the best in the world, which is not necessarily a good way of approaching creativity. I had this need to be a perfectionist, so I just didn't make any art for a while at all. I did a bit of traveling in that time, and seeing some museums in Europe just gave me this real drive to start getting back to it. Looking at a lot of art is really helpful, because it can get you out of your own way a little bit, seeing the diversity of things other people can create. Although flip side of that is that you can start comparing yourself to other people, which can also get in your way a bit. Just putting your head down and getting into the studio or whatever space you have and just doing the work will also help you get away from this need to be a perfectionist that can really stifle you. And once you get into the state of flow, I find you just carry on doing what you're doing. You lose your sense of time. And that's where the magic really happens, when you can stop thinking so linear. I find I end up losing myself in it. And that's where my best work happens. I'm really excited about being part of this Featured Artist Initiative. It's a really good reason for me to focus in on expanding what I do and trying some new techniques and pushing myself out of my comfort zone. I want to take the materials that I already use, but apply them in a totally different way. I'll still be using oil paints. I just love oil painting so much that I don't think I'll ever get away from it. But I would love to use some new colors that I don't usually use, and also just apply the paints in totally different ways. And I've also been working a little bit with Yupo paper recently, and I'd really love to try some things on larger scale transparent Yupo paper, and it employs some layering techniques of layering paper together with smaller paintings on it to see what that translucent quality does to colors and shapes when they're over top of each other. I want to keep painting in 2024, and after this exploratory process with Opus, I'll hopefully incorporate what I have developed and put it into my art practice. But I also want to spend some time developing the business side of my practice. You know, you can be an artist in your studio and create a lot of beautiful work, but unless you get it out to the world, then you might be the only one who sees it. So of course, my art does get out to the world through Instagram and things like that, and shows. But I want to push myself more in getting organized, maybe to contact galleries or to get better at my social media practice and develop those parts of what I do more, because usually at the end of the day, I just want to make the art and not do anything else. But those other things are so important if you want to sell paintings or just get your art out to a wider audience.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode and are inspired to experiment and have some fun with new materials. You can follow both Cara and Justin's progress via our website, www.opusartsupplies.com. I'll be checking back in with them in the next few weeks. Until then, keep exploring, keep imagining, and keep creating. Thanks for watching.